Mario Kart World seems to be the most divisive title in modern gaming history, from controversy surrounding its high price to the intricacies of the game itself. But how does it actually stack up as the next-gen entry into one of Nintendo's most beloved franchises? Well, in the past 10 days since the Switch 2 released, I've played a lot of Mario Kart World, and I have a lot of thoughts. I won't make the majority of this video about the price, but because it's the elephant in the room, I'll address it quickly. This is all my personal opinion. I don't think I'm more correct than anyone else, but this is how I feel. Is it worth the price? For me, yes. I believe video games are, even at these prices, the most value for money form of entertainment in existence, save for maybe books. And therefore a price rise due to inflation, in my opinion, doesn't affect the value offered too much. Yes, $80 is a lot of money, but over 10 days, I've played almost 50 hours, making it close to $1.60 an hour. And that figure's only gonna shrink more and more over time. Apparently it costs $10 on average to see a movie at the cinema. It's much more where I live, but people don't seem to have as much of an issue with that, despite the dollar to entertainment ratio being way worse. From what I've seen of this game, it easily has 100+ hours of fun, engaging gameplay, and so to me, I think it's absolutely worth the price tag. However, it doesn't really matter what I or any other YouTuber thinks anyway. What everyone seems to be missing on this topic is that you are the only person who can decide if a product is worth it. If it isn't, just don't buy it, but also don't put down the people who do. I'd also like to note that I'm saying $80 because that's the US price that's been in all the big headlines, but the game is actually significantly cheaper in Australia where I bought it, with the price of 109 Australian dollars that I paid converting to around 70 US dollars at the time of recording. You can see my very first impressions of the game in my previous video, but booting it up, I did feel an initial emptiness and confusion. It seemed odd to me that all the hype around the game was about the open world, but launching the game I found that option was tucked away in a corner, and the game didn't introduce you to it at all. On my first little play around in free roam, I was really disappointed. Because the game doesn't show you anything or explain anything to you, I convinced myself that there was no mission mode available, and I started to question what the point of the open world was at all. Surely it couldn't just be a way to explore all the tracks. Like, that's cool and all, but it just felt eerily empty. It took me multiple days after this point to go back into free roam and discover there are actually missions. The game just leaves you to find them on your own. After making this discovery, all the emptiness that I'd originally felt completely washed away, because I realized the reason Nintendo has seemingly downplayed the missions is that they wanted to create a game where every little thing is left to the player to discover. And that's a pretty rare thing in games nowadays. If you're old enough to have played Minecraft in its early years, you'd remember the feeling of playing it for the first time, having nothing explained to you, and just having to slowly explore, make mistakes, and work everything out. It feels so rare for games to do that these days. I mean, heck, even Minecraft has a tutorial now. So after realizing that what I perceived to be a feeling of incompleteness was actually a choice from the game designers to encourage exploration and self-discovery, I have a lot more appreciation for it. Exploring the open world and doing missions is so fun, and never knowing what's around the corner gave me a real feeling of wonder. Kind of like the Mario Kart equivalent of looking for power moons in Super Mario Odyssey. The missions themselves are very basic, but I like that. It means you can play the game for an hour and chip away at them bit by bit, giving you a reason to keep coming back. And they also do a good job of teaching you the new mechanics like wall jumping, and even old mechanics like drifting for those who are brand new to the series. Overall, I'm very impressed with this mode, especially the scale of just how many missions there are all over the world. It feels like you could be playing this game for months and still not complete them all. I do wish we could have something like the boss fights in Mario Kart DS and Diddy Kong Racing, but I still think the mission mode is really fun and adds a ton of value to the single player experience of the game. However, I'd be lying if I said that certain elements of the game didn't feel half-baked. For instance, I do think that the inclusion of a really basic storyline would have been nice. Like, I'm talking mainline Mario, Bowser kidnaps the princess levels of basic. Obviously that exact storyline doesn't work in a Mario Kart game, but I feel like the game credits acted like a story was there when it just wasn't. Just something to explain why Rainbow Road had disappeared would have gone a long way, rather than a newspaper page that acts like there was some mystery disappearance we were never privy to. I guess that's my only real criticism about the open world in general. In games like Super Mario Sunshine, despite being released over 20 years ago, the hub world of Isle Delfino feels like a living, breathing place that could exist independently of this game you're playing. Mario Kart World has NPCs, but you can't interact with them. They're sparsely populated and they have little to no personality, which I think also feeds into that initial emptiness I felt. The world certainly isn't lifeless, but it's not bursting with life either. This bothers me less in a game like this because the world obviously exists to be a network of roads that can host races, but it's a bit of a shame nonetheless. Now, when you're actually in the process of playing the game, the open world and the tracks that you're playing feel like separate things. You go into free roam to do missions and find collectibles, and you go into Grand Prix or Knockout Tour for the Mario Kart races you know and love. The thing is though, and I know this is obvious, but because all these tracks actually exist in relation to each other now, they all have to be designed in relation to each other as well. Traditionally, Mario Kart tracks have existed in a void. We might be led to believe that they're in the same universe, but for the purpose of game design, they're totally separate. Having all the tracks in the game exist amongst each other in one finite plane completely changes the game, literally. And it's up to you whether you think this is a great change or an awful one. The main thing to consider is that the traditional lap structure of Mario Kart completely goes out the window. Remember how in 8 and 8 Deluxe they brought in some non-looping tracks? Well, imagine that's now nearly every track in the game. And because a large portion of many tracks is just traveling to the track from another track, the actual theme of the track sometimes doesn't kick in until the last couple of laps, or rather segments. Don't get me wrong, I actually like the segment tracks from Mario Kart 8. I think it adds an extra layer of challenge having 3 times the track layout to remember, as well as giving the track designers more room for creativity. But that's when the tracks are singular entities. The problem in World is, the segment tracks are just there out of necessity, because even in Grand Prix, rather than 4 separate races, what you're really doing is one massive race split into 4 parts, with a looping track thrown in as a bonus every now and then. The result of this is that the tracks can often feel like 2 segments of filler leading up to the main course of the final segment, but that's if I was being overly critical. The truth is, I love this game, and the open world is the main reason for that. I personally think that the epic factor of a fully traversable world makes up for the shortcomings I've listed. But I can also understand that bigger Mario Kart fans than me, who have been waiting over a decade for a new entry, might feel disappointed that this new idea has kind of taken the spotlight over the races. See, I feel like because of the game Nintendo wanted to create here, there had to be a trade-off. Judging this through the lens of a traditional Mario Kart isn't fair, because if they'd given us a traditional Mario Kart, we wouldn't have the open world. Maybe some would have preferred that, but to me, the open world is what makes this game so awesome. And Mario Kart 8 has so many tracks now that if you want a traditional Mario Kart, it's still right there. I'm not saying I think they should continue the open world thing forever. I think it's fine as a one-off, but for what it is, I do really appreciate it. So, what about those races? Well, I actually really like them. I had to play devil's advocate for a bit because the long straights and in-between segments are an obvious flaw that I'd be wrong to ignore, but the truth is, I never got bored racing in this game. I found myself in constant admiration of how beautiful the courses were, and how impressive it was how they had designed them all to fit together, and feeling like you're traversing an actual world while you play is so cool. I'll admit that even as a big Nintendo fan, I've never played a Mario Kart to the extent I've played this one, so if you're looking for a point-by-point comparison, I'm not going to be able to provide it. I'm ranking this as a standalone game, and for that, I think it's great. During my playthrough, I 3-starred every cup in 150cc, and it was really hard. I could easily gold any cup, but to get first in every race is genuinely difficult. In some races, you can get so far ahead in first that the constant barrage of enemy items isn't too much of a threat, but in other races, it feels impossible with the RNG absolutely ass-fucking you. Also, if you fall back to the middle, it can feel almost impossible to catch back up, because with 12 extra races on the track, you just get hit by everything. I also found the blue shell mechanic confusing. It seemed to lock onto one player and get them regardless of position change, but I swear when I pulled into first, it would redirect to me. It's hard to rank this, because I genuinely loved the grind for 3 stars, but at times it did feel really unfair. You can only criticize the game so much for this when chance is meant to be a key component of how it works. It just feels like perhaps that chance is weighted a little too heavily in the CPU's favor. But as I said, this is only true sometimes. It's just that the races where I smashed first with no issues to the races where I got absolutely robbed, I didn't think there was much of a difference in my skill level. Double blue shells were rare, but they only ever seemed to happen if I was in first. I wouldn't actually rank the game down too much here though, because the grind is what made it satisfying to complete. There were highs.
No, yes, yes! Woo!
There were lows.
Fucking get back here right now. No, you fucking get back here, Daisy! Daisy! Get back here right now! Oh, no! No, you fucker! You fucker!
But overall, I really enjoyed the challenge. I also love how involved the process of unlocking mirror mode was. I originally thought I'd get it after just 3-starring all the Grand Prix Cups, but it ended up requiring you to complete 40 missions, find 10 Peach medallions, and 10 question mark blocks in free roam, as well as complete all the Grand Prix Cups and Knockout Tour rallies before replaying the Special Cup and unlocking it. You didn't actually need a result for the Grand Prix and Knockout Tours, you just needed to complete them. I love how this process forced you to explore and get a really full experience of the game. And the Easter egg cutscene you get when you unlock it is also really cute. Speaking of Knockout Tour, the new game mode introduced in World takes full advantage of the open world setting of the game, having you complete rallies where you race from one part of the world to another, with each track representing a segment of the rally. At the end of each segment, you need to place in a certain position to continue the race, with the final segment only being open to the top 4 races. I really like this mode. I think it's super fun to have a non-stop race across the world, but it's really hard. I mean, it took me around 15 hours to 3-star every Grand Prix Cup in 150cc, but I consistently found it hard to even place in the top 4 in Knockout Tour. Speaking of difficulty, I've seen a lot of people online say the game uses AI to determine CPU difficulty based on player performance. So basically, if you're tricking on drifting a lot, the game will get way harder, but if you're not, it'll go really easy on you, which I don't necessarily dislike, because it means if you're really good, you have the hardest challenge to beat, which if you're competitive, you'll probably enjoy. But it does come into the thing I hate most about modern Mario Kart: inbuilt cheating. I tested this AI theory by racing the Heart Rally and the Special Cup in 150cc, not allowing myself to trick or drift. And at least from my own observation, it seems to have a lot of truth to it. It wasn't enough to win me the Knockout Tour, but it did rank me 3rd, a result that if you've played Knockout Tour is far too high for not actually trying. I found it consistently difficult to place top 3 in Knockout Tour when genuinely trying, so to place this high using no technique whatsoever is definitely a concern. I don't think this strat would ever win you a Knockout Tour because the difficulty is genuinely quite high, but it feels like it could be used as a strategy to stay in the top 3 before actually using tricks and drifts to get yourself into first place. I tried this strategy out on the next run and I got 2-star gold, and I reckon with just a few attempts this could probably allow you to 3-star a rally. On Grand Prix though, it was even crazier. Doing the exact same thing, no tricks or drifts, I came first in 2 out of 4 races, including Rainbow Road. This worked so well that I actually think it would probably allow you to 3-star a cup within a few attempts. Keep in mind that 3-starring every cup the proper way took me something like 15 hours, so I think this is enough to prove that adaptive difficulty is definitely a thing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this wouldn't necessarily make me mad because I enjoyed the challenge of getting the 3 stars the proper way, but it does kind of suck that there's no way to differentiate your result from someone who the game essentially handheld. It's done behind your back and the game just behaves as if everything is normal. If the game had actual difficulty modes, you could just set it to easy for little Timmy when he plays, but you could set it to hard for yourself, and the game could actually differentiate star achievements between those difficulty levels. The biggest problem with adaptive difficulty to me is the way it's implemented makes achievements meaningless. If someone can just stop drifting or tricking and the game gives them an easy win, but their 3-star shows nothing to differentiate it from my 3-star, that takes away from the accomplishment I feel from my 3-star. Sure, I know that I didn't do it on baby mode, but I get no recognition of that from the game, which takes a lot of the satisfaction away. And you might say, it's a kid's game, why do you take it so seriously? And sure, that's true, but to me it cuts deeper into the concept of what a kid's game should be. Mario Kart has always been a kid's game, but I never felt unfairly treated growing up if I lost a race. If the game just artificially raises and lowers the difficulty based on the player's input, bad players won't know they're bad, and therefore they'll never be driven to get better. You may say it's just a game, but I do genuinely feel like this is a slippery slope. Part of the enjoyment of life and hobbies is starting out terrible at something and having to work bit by bit to get better. The more control you take away from the player with invisible algorithms running in the background to hide your actual skill level from you, the more that games stop being games and become a glorified form of cocomelon brain rot to shove in your kids' faces and make them shut up. You can't have a game where your kids can lose, can you? Then you might actually have to teach them a lesson about life. Better to just have the machine programmed to lie to them so you can shirk your parental responsibilities and keep doom scrolling beige mum TikToks. Sorry about the rant, but I feel like people always undercut this point and want to act like a kid having to face the reality of losing a game is some kind of great injustice, when it's just a reality of life. They'll either learn from that experience and get better, or they'll find another hobby because gaming's not for them, and that's also fine. I feel the same way about assists. Younger players might not even remember the before times because we've been stuck with 8 Deluxe for the past 8 years, but there was a time where games didn't assume you want to be treated like an infant, your prefrontal cortex too undeveloped to stay on the track or deal with the consequences if you don't, with this feature having to be disabled manually and even then still being automatically re-enabled for any extra players that join the game. I'm gonna say something here that may offend or upset some people, but if you don't want to play a game properly, don't play it at all. It pisses me off to no end that someone could play through the whole game with all these assist modes on, get all the achievements, and lie to themselves that they actually did anything. And Nintendo not only accepts that, they clearly want it. Nintendo wants a game where you just hold down the A button and the game randomly allocates a winner, and assists are a prime example of this. Actually, if you turn all the assists on, you can even forget the A button entirely. I did a test where I turned on auto accelerate, auto steer, and auto item, and just chucked the controller on the couch next to me, and I think it's the best way to demonstrate why I feel this way about assists. Check it out. Use the fucking... Oh, bruh. 6th and I haven't pressed a button. 6th and I have not pressed a button. Bro. 3rd and I didn't touch the controller. This is the world that Nintendo wants. They want the results randomized. They want it to just be a fun little movie you watch. Like when your fucking uncle goes down to the TAB and bets on the virtual greyhounds. That's what Nintendo want Mario Kart to be. It's insane. It's wild. Look at him. Look how happy he is. Of course he's fucking happy. He didn't have to lift a single finger. I mean... 7th, not bad, not bad. Let's see if it has good auto aim. How are you gonna use these shells, buddy? Are you gonna use these shells, buddy? Oh shit. Okay, well, one of them it used well. 7th is not bad again. Very, I mean it is bad. It is bad. Let's be clear. But for not lifting a finger. I mean, I get 7th without even touching the controller. So imagine how well I'd do if I actually put my fingers on it. You stay there, controller. We don't need you to play games anymore. I mean, people are complaining about the price of the new Joy-Cons, but like, you don't even need them. You don't even need them. What do you use them for? They just sit on the couch while the computer plays the game. I really don't see what all the complaints are about. 5th is wild, halfway through the race. 3rd place, that is wild. No fucking way. Oh my god, and that guy's gonna get blue shell. Oh, but Donkey Kong pulled the lead. No, don't hit the barrel! Okay. Don't hit the barrel! I'm actually getting emotionally invested now. How are you gonna come fucking 2nd? How is that? Okay, well, wait a second to see what the final result is, but oh my god. Like, for it to even be able to come 3rd and 2nd in a race is so what? 3rd overall. As I said after the first race, you can get a bronze medal in Mario Kart World without so much as touching
the controller. You don't need this. Apparently, according to Nintendo, you do not need any of it. All you need to play Mario Kart World is you need one Joy-Con because you need it to navigate the menus. But apart from that, the game can do all of the gaming for you. And you'll have so much more free time to watch Subway Surfers clips on TikTok. I mean, honestly. See, I know no one actually plays like this, but I'm more just making a point of the fact that it's there as an option. Why is it there as an option? Like, if your solution to, like, entertaining your child is literally to just put Mario Kart in front of them with auto steer, auto item, auto accelerate on. At that point, just let them watch other people play it on YouTube. It will probably be more stimulating and engaging for them. And I'm not for that either, but like, this is ridiculous. Like, it just shouldn't be there. It just shouldn't. You play the game or you don't play the game. You don't need an option there for when you're not really committed to playing the game, but you want to like look at it. Going back to that thing I said about the TAB though, it would be hilarious if down at the TAB they just hooked like 6 Switch 2 consoles together over LAN, connected 4 controllers up to each of them, set them all to like auto steer, auto accelerate, auto use items, and then you can just place bets on which ones are gonna win. It's an all CPU race where you can just spectate and just bet on the outcome. That would be funny. I mean, honestly, that would be less depressing than the virtual greyhounds, but yeah, it bewilders me. I mean, on one level it bewilders me, but on another level I'm like, it makes so much sense in this modern world that we have these options. Like, we just don't need them. We just don't need them. Because the assumption that we do need them is the assumption that, like, gaming is some sort of struggle or injustice that we all have to go through as people, and that losing a race in Mario Kart would be this, like, soul-crushing thing. Which maybe it would, but that's kind of the point. If you want to play the game, you play the game with all of its shortcomings. If you are willingly letting a computer lie to you about how good you are, why? Stop doing that. I can't put it into words how ridiculous and nonsensical that is to me. Like, maybe I'm way off here. Maybe people actually like these modes and they think they should be in the game, but like, to me, it loses major points just for it being there.
And it would be one thing for these modes to exist in single player, but in multiplayer, it just straight up shouldn't be an option. What is the point of playing a competitive game with someone who needs the element of competition removed? There's just no fun in that. Like, if you win with assists on, am I really meant to sit here and act like that's anything except cheating? If you don't like Mario Kart, you don't have to play Mario Kart. It's as simple as that. Sorry, just quickly guys, when I wrote the previous rant, I had thought that assists were only available in local play, but when I played some 8 Deluxe to compare its online play to World, I was shocked to see smart steering on by default and that all other assists could be enabled too. So then I jumped back to World to test it there, and sure enough they can all be enabled there as well. Now this is just insane. I mean, there's no way auto accelerate or auto item are gonna win you a race, but smart steering, literally stopping you from being able to fall off an edge, one of the game's built-in punishments for sloppy steering, which gives you a delay before you return to racing, that's just cheating. I mean, I know I'm clearly late on this because I didn't even realize it had been around for a whole generation, but surely we're not okay with this. Local is one thing, but online it's just not on. Shame on you if you use these online. Anyway, back to the video. On the other hand, if you want to escape any notion of the game lying to you about your skill level, online play is certainly an option. Online feels unbalanced for completely different reasons though. Everyone is technically treated by the same rules, but players up the back will continually be given golden mushrooms, allowing them to boost across diagonals and gain places, and it can just feel like the position ladder is randomly shuffling until the race finishes. This has obviously always been a part of Mario Kart. I mean, one of the main points of the item system is to favor players players not doing well and give them a chance to catch up. And I'm not going to say there's no skill involved here, because if it were truly random who won, I surely would have won at least once. I'm sure there's already a super complex meta to online play that the likes of me is never going to be bothered figuring out, but I do recognize there's definitely skill involved here. You can use boost items to get as far to the front as possible, and then whenever the game gives you defensive items, only use them defensively. With 24 players in a race, there's just too many potential attackers around you all the time. So from my own playing, the only way to consistently stay anywhere near the front is to play defensively and hope for a certain amount of luck. It definitely doesn't feel like the game is holding your hand in online. If anything, it just feels like pure chaos. I grabbed a copy of 8 Deluxe to see how it compares, and it was a night and day difference. It still felt chaotic, but more in the traditional Mario Kart way we've all come to know over the years. I didn't feel like my position was constantly in flux, and the items given out seemed way more balanced. I definitely prefer this type of online play. As I say, if the same rules are applied to everyone, nothing about Worlds Online can inherently be seen as unfair, except of course for assists, but it does tend to feel like you're being tossed back and forth like a ball in a pinball machine, unless you can manage to stay in the top few positions. And I feel like those top few positions are always going to be reserved for the players who have mastered the new moveset. And obviously that's fair, I just think it makes the barrier to entry way higher than it is in 8 Deluxe. Both games have the same VR ranking system, but the games I played in 8 Deluxe definitely felt more evenly matched. The level of chaos you enjoy in Mario Kart is obviously going to be a matter of personal preference, and I'm definitely not saying I dislike Worlds Online play, I just think I probably prefer 8 Deluxes. And this all comes back into my gripe about adaptive difficulty in single player. How is that meant to prepare you for playing online? It can't. If you never learnt to play properly and you went online, you'd probably end up really disheartened, which is why I think adaptive difficulty is so stupid. It's like a parent who shelters their child from anything they perceive as bad in the world to protect them, and then when they go out into the world and are faced with all of those challenges, they're woefully underprepared. Sheltering isn't protection, it's endangerment. And as silly as that might seem in the context of a Mario game, I think it's as relevant here as anywhere else. But going back to what I love about World, I'm so glad it's not just another entry in the series. I want to make the point to everyone who says that Nintendo perfected Mario Kart with 8, I kind of agree, and that's why I think a game like this was needed. Yeah, 8 was around for more than a decade, but that's because it worked so well, and there's so many tracks now with the DLC that I feel like if all Nintendo did was polish that game up a bit and give us 32 new and remade tracks, it would have been really disappointing. I think experimentation is what the series needed. Not everything lands, sure, but at least it's fresh. My favorite Mario Kart is Double Dash because it's so unique and completely flips your expectations of what Mario Kart is as a game. But once you learn how to play it, it's unbelievably fun. Mario Kart World isn't safe, and that's why I like it. Subverting expectations is what Nintendo does best, and my favorite games of theirs are all ones that tried something new and exciting. I respect Nintendo for taking a risk with this game, and not just giving us the same thing with a new coat of paint. And for those who hate it, I really can't see 8 Deluxe online servers going down for a very long time. Plus, with Pretendo and Wii U, the original is preserved as well, though don't expect any packed out lobbies. Nintendo has always been known and beloved for their willingness to do the unexpected, and I'm glad that even in the Switch 2 era, they haven't completely abandoned that. So, that was a lot. And I feel like as a review, this was really disjointed and rambly and all over the place, but it kind of had to be, because I absolutely loved playing this game, but I'd also be doing a disservice if I just ignored all its shortcomings and gave it an entirely positive review. I think the open world is an amazing concept, and it's so cool how they managed to link all these racetracks together in a cohesive world. The encouragement to explore and discover the world through missions and collectibles is really refreshing. That said, I also understand and feel a lot of the complaints about this game from the community. The open world concept takes away from the quality of many races. The adaptive difficulty is insulting to the player, as is the continuation of forcing default assist modes down our throats, and acting like players want Mario Kart to be the karting equivalent of Mario Party. No one wants that. The randomness of Mario Party is fun because we all know it's not really a skill-based game. It's meant to infuriate you and cause a commotion because it's essentially a tool to banter around with a group of friends. Mario Kart is meant to be a skill-based game. That doesn't mean you have to be great at it. It's also built around giving the people at the back a chance to catch up. But if the game itself doesn't care about helping you to improve, I struggle to see its value going forward. In spite of this, I can't deny I love the world Nintendo has created here. And despite all the issues I've presented here today, I absolutely love this game and will continue to play it a lot in the coming months. It's such a tough thing to form an opinion on because I wouldn't feel so strongly if I didn't love it. It's honestly how much I love it that makes the shortcomings suck so much more, because Nintendo makes great games, but they absolutely suck at listening to their core fans. In spite of all my mixed feelings, I give Mario Kart World a 7 out of 10. Wait, sorry, I get to see up a Piana's skirt? My bad. Instant 10 out of 10. Hey guys, I'm doing a really exciting Mario Kart live stream on Tuesday the 1st of July starting at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time or 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Basically, I'm taking inspiration from Ludwig's recent stream where he had to play the Special Cup in every Mario Kart, but I'll be playing all the games on original hardware. So yeah, I'll be hooking up my actual Super Nintendo, N64, Game Boy Advance, GameCube, DS, Wii, 3DS, Wii U, and Switch 2 up to the stream, and I will not stop until I gold every Special Cup in 150cc with 3 stars required in all games where the star system is implemented. I will not leave the view of the stream except to use the bathroom until the challenge is complete. I'm even talking sleeping on stream if it comes to that. So please, if you want to see a man absolutely lose his marbles, tune into the stream on Tuesday, the 1st of July on my YouTube channel at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time or 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified of upcoming streams and other content. And if you've made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. You're supporting my dreams and I really, really appreciate it. See ya.